Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Zone YouTube channel. And as you can see by the title, this video is all about AFC Bournemouth. And if you're new to this channel or haven't looked at the podcast, you won't know that I'm a bit of a closet Bournemouth fan and have been so intrigued by Andoni Iraola's style of football coming across since the start of the season. You know, coming to the pre-season, I did a lot of predictions and had to rate Andoni Iraola quite low and didn't have much faith in Bournemouth because I hadn't known what it was all about. And I put a bit of research into it before the season started. I was intrigued to see how this system would go. And as the season sort of progressed, we've seen a common trend here with teams, new managers, new styles of football, that this progressive and more Spanish style of football has worked across a lot of leagues this season. I've been so happy to see the development of Bournemouth and so happy to see the success they've got this season. There's been moments in times they could have gotten into the European positions. They've dropped games or other teams have ended up winning or drawing that have kept them out of there. But now finally, I think it's a perfect time to do the video. They've broken their points record in a Premier League season. They're in the top half. They're on the brink of European football. I'll explain how that could possibly happen. And there's now links for Andoni Iraola away now to different clubs as well, because I think this guy's finally getting the respect he deserves. Manager of the month recently. His team's in the top half. And Bournemouth have played consistently great football now since probably early November, late October time where they got that first win. But it has been a roller coaster of a season. We know it's hard to implement strategies. And as a Manchester United fan who's been going through it a bit this season, Bournemouth has been my escape this season in terms of watching some great football and seeing the progression and feeling that good feel story. They have been the good feel story this season in the Premier League. And I'm so excited to get into it here in this video here and break down their season and Andoni Iraola's style of football. Obviously, coming into this season, coming across from Rayo Vallecano, there's a lot of question marks. Like me, how is his system going to work? What is Andoni Iraola's system? And it was built in that Spanish league, in that Spanish style of football. It's a high energy, high possession, high pressing style of football. But most importantly, this season at Bournemouth, he's developed a bit of versatility in his gameplay. Starting the season off, the players didn't quite get to grips with it. You think Gary O'Neill, Scott Parker, it's a more pragmatic, defensive, results-based style of football. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I've been so supportive and backing Andoni Iraola's system all season because the upside is there, and we're starting to see that now with playing that aggressive, attacking style of football, which you see in the likes of Michel at Girona. You see in Bologna's system, you see with Inzaghi at Inter Milan, you see with Brighton last few seasons under De Zerbi, this attacking style of football. Xavi Alonso there at Bayer Leverkusen, what Stuttgart have done this season in third place. This attacking, high possession, high intensity style of football is the way forward. In modern football, that is the way you achieve success. You look across all the big leagues this season and all those teams in the top four, for the most part, play this high possession, aggressive, high pressing style of football. They modify it in their own ways, but it's a common trend there. So coming across this season, he's implemented that with his Bournemouth side. And yes, it did take time to adjust. It was a real feeling out process at the start of the season. In a bit of his history, though, he had taken second division side Miranda's to the Copa del Rey semi-final, then got his move to Rayo Vallecano, where he made another Copa del Rey semi-final. He beat Barcelona 3 times in his stint there, and also beat Real Madrid once, which is what put him on the map. That's how I sort of found out about Andoni Iraola, is through researching and finding out that was his big game, beating Real Madrid in that Copa del Rey run to the semi-final. A fantastic, achievement to beat Barcelona 3 times and Madrid once. He is the giant conqueror, and because of this football, he does not play timid, he does not play scared with his teams. He gets them going on the front foot and gets them producing great cup fronts that we've seen there in Spain. And he didn't compromise when he came to the Premier League, and as I said, it sort of hurt him in the early stages there. They had a rocky start of the season, and I guess it's understandable, right? So after only got their first win after 10 match weeks. In the first 9 games, there were 3 draws and 6 losses. Now, don't get me wrong, there were some very tough fixtures in there. They even got a draw versus Chelsea in there out of all those results. But, we weren't expecting much. And I think at that point in time, there was no pressure on Bournemouth. I don't think anyone expected them to go down, but they thought they'd be in a relegation scrap. And that's where the season turned around come October and the start of November. The form changed, and it felt like everything started to click. Andoni Iraola just took away a little bit of that possession style of football and compromised, kept their high pressing style of football, but didn't over commit with that possession. They got their first win versus Burnley, playing a 48% possession style of football, coming from behind in an ugly sort of scrap. But from that moment onwards, you look at the trajectory of their football, and it's developed, it's added more tools, it's grown, and it's become one of the strongest in the Premier League. a team that can press high up the pitch, a team that can play in possession, 50, 60% possession, but a team that can also play direct. And that's why we see, I'll touch on later on, Dom Solanke's importance to the side, but he has been an outball. Semenyo has been an outball. Justin Clive has been massive for them this season as an outball. They can play that direct in behind style of football as well. So Iraola's learnt from his first 10 games, the league isn't so easy. You can't just come in and play this possession style of football. You can't just expect this Bournemouth side that are so used to pragmatic, defensive, deep-lying style of football just to flick in a switch and play this possession style of football, to pass around teams, to press teams high up the pitch and not expect to concede a lot of goals and struggle to score yourself. So he's implemented a different style here. They were sacrificing a little bit of possession and not pressing as high and as hard up the pitch to get some results. They got some results, but slowly but surely, you're getting the more performances which we expected under this Andoni Iraola side. And this is where I sort of come into some of the players and the importance in their system this season. The midfield dominance, that possession. I've said it a lot of my prediction videos. I said it, I think, at times in the podcast as well. But I have been so impressed with Cook and Christie this season in midfield. They were going to the radar. Like I'm trying to hype up McAllister and Endo, but these two need to be hyped even more because they don't get talked about a lot, but they are so important to this Bournemouth system. You think of how important Philip Billing was to them last season. Does not get anywhere near the starting lineup because of the versatility, the energy, and the ability on the ball that Christie and Cook have. The dynamic duo in there that have worked so well with Scott at times in there as well in that midfield. The versatility to sometimes play in a 4-4-2. He prefers the 4-2-3-1, but at times they've had to be in the 4-4-2. So isolated as the two of them there. They've done such a great job. And I just think their two-way running, their ability to win the ball back, and most important, their ability to control possession in tight midfield areas. We know the midfield battle is vital from the Premier League. These two have won a lot of midfield battles this season, and it's been so impressive. One of the first full games I watched them was obviously against Manchester United, my team. And what they did so well in that occasion was Cook and Christie press United hard up the pitch and force mistakes out of the defence. You saw it again recently against Brighton on the weekend. That midfield pressed high. It forced Brighton into mistakes and you couldn't have time on the ball. They counter-press and press so well and so smartly, these two. And then once they have the ball at their feet, they find the right pass and they pick the right pass more often than not. It just makes them such an underrated part to Andoni Iraola's system that is so orientated about midfield versatility and midfield possession. Control the midfield battle, win the possession battle, and you win a lot of games of football. And that is clearly what these two have done. So they've been important for that as well. Andoni Iraola loves to use the flanks, and you can see that this season. I've banged on about Antoine Semenyo all season long. When he's not there, Bournemouth look half the team they normally are. But when Antoine Semenyo is there, when Marcus Tavernier is there, or Justin Clive is there, ideally all three of them in behind Dom Solanke, they are impossible to stop because you have the out ball to Semenyo on the flank. These guys can create for themselves because the system allows that midfield area to be so congested. You spread the ball out wide. You get Antoine Semenyo one-on-one with a wing-back. He beats him 9 out of 10 times. And the finishing from these wingers this season have improved so much from the start of the season. I remember that Liverpool game away at Anfield early in the season. They missed so many chances which they could have taken. I've seen the development throughout the season. They've become more confident in front of goal and scoring more chances. And I look at Antoine Semenyo and look at Tavernier and the use of the flanks, an important aspect of Andoni Iraola's system that he brought across, and these players have flourished under it. And also Justin Clive. This guy now is on the radar of a lot of big clubs because what he's done, playing in the 10, playing out in the right, his composure on the ball, and his facilitation for the players around him. Just another aspect of the Andoni Iraola system, which is so orientated about versatility and playing with width. It opens the whole pitch up and allows, obviously, that guy at the middle, Dom Solanke, to be at his best, to score a lot of goals, to be facilitated too. And also, Dom Solanke helps Andoni Iraola when they had to be more versatile to play the direct long ball. At times, Vallecano, against the big boys in the Liga, would play that long direct ball to get out of trouble. And that's what Bournemouth have done this season. When they're in trouble, a long direct ball to Dom Solanke, using his pace and his physicality to get in behind the defence and cause problems. I think earlier to the season, away at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Dom Solanke was struggling. He was getting beat up a fair bit, but he would continue to be the out ball for Bournemouth. They didn't quite get the result, but they took it to Tottenham. This is a Tottenham at that point of the season, which was still up well and truly in the top four, playing some of their best football and a hard team to beat on transition in the midfield. But Bournemouth took it to them. They probably won that midfield battle that day. They stretched the Tottenham defence probably the most we've seen since the early Arsenal game of the Emirates. They were the first team that really take it to Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and that's props to that Bournemouth side and how Andoni Iraola set it up and how versatile at that point the team was to play the out ball to Dom Solanke to be available for the out ball and stretch that Tottenham defence. So he brought all these aspects across: possession style of football, high possession style of football, controlling the midfield areas, using the width and having that versatility to play the direct ball over the top. All those aspects were there, and he started to implement that in that Bournemouth team. And that rocky start of the season where they only won their first game after the 10th match week was all of a sudden over. The start of November onwards, they have been fantastic to watch. If you haven't watched them, please do before the end of the season, because they've got some big games against some big teams, and they will take it to these teams. They are not afraid to take it to any big team. I think to Man City not too long ago, before they went on this unbeaten run at home, a 1-0 loss. Enes now could have headed them home a winner at one point in time. Edison, great saves, clearances off the line. Man City were struggling, stuck in their own half because of Andoni Iraola's team and the system they are playing. It caught Pep Guardiola off guard. And it's this Spanish influence we're seeing around European football right now, which is so influential and is winning so many games of football and translating to a lot of teams succeeding in their current leagues. And we saw that there. I think there's multiple cases I can touch on where Andoni Iraola's system might not got the results, but it definitely plays a better football and sees progression and improvement in his players. And that's why a lot of players and himself will be linked away this summer, because it's really stood out. So obviously on the weekend, it was a big result. That's why I've made this video. It's very timely. A 3-0 symbolic win over Brighton in many regards. We've seen Brighton as the trailblazers, the team that have broken in to that sort of big 7, big 8 now. But in many regards, that was symbolic. I think it's the passing of the baton to Bournemouth now. I think it's Bournemouth's time to go and break into that top 8, challenge for European football now. If Andoni Iraola stays, you've got him, Dom Solanke, Antoine Semenyo, and I'll mention some of the injuries, but you've got Tyler Adams there as well. Ilyasar Bani's there. Neto, Travers in goal. 2 great goalkeepers. Milos Kerkez, an underrated wing back this season. And you've got experienced heads like Adam Smith, Philip Billing, who have been around the league for a while. This team is very, very strong and only going in the positive direction if all things go well. It's been run really well by these American owners now. They intend to expand the stadium to an 18,500 capacity stadium. State-of-the-art training facilities. You've got now celebrity investment there in Michael B. Jordan as well. So things are going well for the Cherries right now. Things are positive, and that bold claim by the owner that in 5 years' time they would hope to get European football could be a reality this season. And hear me out here. And I've been trying to promote this Bournemouth European charge now for about a month or two now. If you've watched the podcast, I always bang on about they're close to Europe. With that result on the weekend now, they've now broken their record points, which I'll touch on a bit, on 48 points. But it means now they're only 1 point behind West Ham in 8th position, currently sitting in 10th in the top half. Now, with all this conundrum with the coefficients, the Premier League will not, unfortunately, get 5 Premier League spots, which would have allowed the 8th position in the league to get Conference League football. But Bournemouth still could get 8th place and Conference League football if, I believe this is correct, if Aston Villa win the Conference League and finish obviously in their Champions League position, which they currently are in 4th, the next team outside of the European qualifying positions will get that Conference League position, which if Bournemouth can get ahead of West Ham, only 1 point behind them, West Ham look like they're really starting to hit a brick wall here. And Chelsea, I know they've got 2 games at hand, but they're on equal points with Bournemouth right now. If Bournemouth can outscore these guys in terms of points and can secure 8th spot, and Aston Villa win the Conference League, we could be seeing Bournemouth next season in the Conference League themselves. And that would be justified with the season and the improvement we've seen for this club. So it is a bit of a long shot. I know I'm probably saying ridiculous here in this video, but I'm holding out hope that can happen, because what we've seen this season has been ridiculous. Andoni Iraola and his side absolutely deserve that. As I said, that 3-0 win the weekend secures them 48 points, which equal with Chelsea, with 3 games to go now versus Arsenal, Brentford and Chelsea. That final game of the season could be so important if Aston Villa go and win the Conference League. That could be the final spot to secure Conference League football, finishing in 8th. So very exciting game, that one there, away at the Bridge. Their form in recent weeks has been ridiculous. As I said, from November onwards, they've been fantastic to watch and have produced some fantastic games. Over the last 10 games, they are 3rd best record in the Premier League, behind reigning champions Manchester City and current 1st place in Arsenal. So 2 title contenders are the only 2 teams with more points than Bournemouth across the last 10 games. The 6 wins, the 2 draws, and the 2 losses. And it's only like they're getting better at home. They're getting better and harder to beat and more versatile. And I think Andoni Iraola's starting to get recognised as a manager you need to start respecting. They've taken it and won at Old Trafford. They've got a result at home to Manchester United as well. They've got a result versus Chelsea at home. They took it to Man City at home as well. I think they're going to cause Arsenal a lot of problems on the weekend, which people do not expect, but I think they definitely will. And you look at some of the big teams, they have absolutely taken it to them. So in a season that they've gotten higher than Wolves, higher than Fulham, higher than Brighton, higher than Palace, is a monumental season for Bournemouth. No longer looking over their shoulder at relegation, looking above at European football. And that just says all the things you have to know about Bournemouth this season. The progression, the player development, the manager development, and the club development as a whole. It is looking so solid and going in the right direction here. Let's take a few standout players. I've obviously mentioned some of the names before, but Dom Solanke's 18 goals, he's 3 assists. Antoine Semenyo's 8 goals and 2 assists. Eliazar Barney, who's played every single minute in the Premier League this season outside of the last game versus Brighton. That is phenomenal from the 21-year-old, and he's been one of my favourite centre-backs this season. Super underrated, so capable with the ball at his feet, possession playing centre-back, a very strong tackling centre-back, so versatile, the modern-day centre-back, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's linked away as well in the summer because he's been fantastic since joining last summer. Justin Kluivert, who's become incredible in this great run since November. 7 goals, 1 assist, and by no means is it just these players. Milos Kerkez, phenomenal this season, up and down that wing-back position, stand up in great moments and shut down a lot of the best Premier League wingers in the league. Obviously touched on Cook and Christie in midfield. Marcus Tavernier from the flank hasn't quite got the numbers, but have been phenomenal out there in terms of providing that width and being important to Andoni Iraola's system. And look at goal, Neto and Travers have been fantastic since the turn of the year as well. So many superstars, and it hasn't quite been straightforward either. You've got Sinisterra out for long periods of time. Big signing, Tyler Adams came for a lot of money in the summer in terms of Bournemouth. That was their big money signing. Has barely touched the pitch this season in terms of injuries. Max Aarons as well, another big signing, hasn't really been available for large periods of the season. Lloyd Kelly, the captain, the versatile left centre-back, left back, hasn't been available for big chunks of the season. Tavernier in and out throughout the season. Antoine Semenyo in and out throughout the season. So Andoni Iraola's had a lot of injury problems, and if they were in a relegation scrap, a lot of people would be raising, they've had to go with the injury problems. But because they're so high up the table, everyone forgets the big money signings, the big players that have missed this season. So that's another feather in his cap as well with how well they've dealt with all that as well. And I just think there is other links now coming out across the last week or so of Kluivert, Iraola, Solanke, even Semenyo linked away from the club. I think I'll start seeing stuff about Elias Barney as well being linked away from the club. So it could be short-lived, this great resurgence and development in the club, but I fingers crossed, because as I said, I'm a bit of a Bournemouth closet fan at the moment. I'm loving the football they're playing, and we're seeing these teams all around Europe right now. I look at Stuttgart and Augsburg in Germany, Girona in Spain, Bologna in Italy. These teams that are going and playing their style of football, unapologetically their style of football, attacking, high pressing, high energy, high possession style of football, not wanting to be the pragmatic style of football just to get a certain position in the league. Because I've stand by, and I'll say it and I'll stand by. I think they made the right decision with sacking Gary O'Neill and getting in Andoni Iraola. Again, unproven. Gary O'Neill saves you and gets you well and truly high up the Premier League, but there's only so far a Gary O'Neill can take you. There's only so far that sort of pragmatic, points-based manager can get you, because you might have good seasons. Like we see with West Ham, David Moyes can have great seasons, he can also have poor seasons. But a manager like Andoni Iraola that puts in a philosophy, a style of football, a modern style of football, versatile, can improve the players, not make them play to their level, is so important. This Bournemouth team would never be where they are today if it wasn't for Andoni Iraola. There is a step up in quality, a step up in standard, and a step up in prestige now. I've seen a lot of Bournemouth fans and I'm saying, we're getting talked about a match of the day now. We're getting reference in Premier League conversations. There's now news articles being written about AFC Bournemouth. Little Bournemouth for a few years ago, it was not really respected. They are being respected now as an established Premier League side. And if all these names and players stay and Andoni Iraola stays for 2 or 3 more seasons, you get a few players in with that draw of the potential of European football, we could be talking about the new trailblazing team in the Premier League pushing up into that big 8 now, which you talk about. So I think, as I said, that was a symbolic win of the weekend. The baton's being passed from Brighton to Bournemouth, at least for next season. Brighton are in a bit of a rebuilding stage. Bournemouth have their chance now. The upturn is there. If everyone stays, they can add a few more pieces, and if they can get lucky here this season, they could be playing European Conference League football next season. So I put it out there. I had to make the video. I've been waiting this video for a long time now because the form's been great, but I'm waiting for the right moment, and breaking your record points in the Premier League is probably the right occasion to go and do it. So I've been really pumped about this video, if you can tell, I'm passionate about it, but absolutely loved what Bournemouth are doing this season and love what Andoni Iraola has done this season. Tell you what, next season, if he's still in the Premier League, that manager ranking from 18th or whatever I had him, or 17th, is going to be top 5 in the Premier League. This guy is a superstar and deserves all the respect, as well as his Bournemouth players. They need a lot more respect, and you should go in the last 3 games, give them a watch, versus Arsenal, versus Chelsea, versus Brentford, because this team is the real deal. And hopefully I haven't put a mock on them, but a top half finish and potentially a European position would just sum up this season for a team for me, for Bournemouth. A lot still to play for, and they've accomplished so much already in 35 games. With that being said, ladies and gents, that brings this video to an end. Please make sure, if you did enjoy it, smash a like on it, subscribe to the channel, press that post notification bell so you know we upload these sort of analysis videos, prediction videos, reaction videos, podcasts. They're all going to stay in the channel. And if you enjoy this type of videos where I sort of deep dive into a team, analyze a few things, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll try and release a few more as we come into a dead point between now and the Euros, because we've got a lot of analysis to be done and not enough time on podcasts and reaction videos to do that. So let me know if you like this type of videos in the comment section. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope you enjoy the rest of the football action for the end of the season. And please keep an eye on Bournemouth as they make their charge for that top half of the table. With that all being said, ladies and gents, I'll see you guys later. Peace.